So let's just take a closer look at the art of surrender. We realize that inaction is not a void, but a space filled with introspection, filled with self-discovery and connection to something greater than ourselves. We give ourselves the place and the space to go inwards, to look inwards. And a lot of why many of us do not value the art of surrender is because we have not been taught, we are not accustomed to looking in. Welcome to Spiritual Midwife, the podcast that tenderly guides you through the transformative journey of spiritual awakening and personal development towards the ultimate destination of soul sovereignty. I'm Claire Attio, a medicine woman and dedicated guide to the profound realm of soul sovereignty, and you are listening to Spiritual Midwife. Hello, my beautiful souls. In today's fast-paced culture, we often find ourselves trapped in cycles of continuous action, and we have this belief that relaxation must manifest as physical activity, dismissing the notion of stillness. And yet, stillness is an essential part of the balance we crave. In this episode, we are going to unpack the misconception that every moment must be filled with movement and how that misconception is contributing to the rising tide of poor mental health and well-being in our society. So let's just take a closer look at the art of surrender. We realize that inaction is not a void, but a space filled with introspection, filled with self-discovery and connection to something greater than ourselves. We give ourselves the place and the space to go inwards, to look inwards. And a lot of why many of us do not value the art of surrender is because we have not been taught, we are not accustomed to looking inwards. Culture is designed, society has been designed that we're looking outside of ourselves, looking at the latest trend, looking at the latest gadget, looking at the latest, rather than sitting with ourselves, taking a breath and looking in and going, okay, who am I? What do I want from life? What's going to make me happy? What brings me joy? What brings me peace? It's a conscious decision to step back from the chaos and acknowledge that there is wisdom in allowing things to unfold naturally. And I don't know about you, but I grew up in an education system, and I believe all of us are, and I think as the generations have come behind me, it's got worse within the education system, where it's plan, look, force. What do you want from life? These are the steps that you need to take. This is what you need to be doing. You're being lazy if you don't do them in this time frame. And it is creating a lot of stress. It's creating a lot of lack mentality. And it's creating a lot of dog eat dog. And I think that for humanity is extremely sad, is extremely toxic, which is why we have lots and lots of conversations about the toxicity of relationships these days. But the majority of the toxicity lies within ourselves when we actually take a breath and we actually stop and we start to be introspective and we allow ourselves to surrender, to allow the natural unfoldment of our pathway, we will actually realize that a lot of toxicity that we have been finding uncomfortable and have been fighting against is within ourselves. We've been fighting against ourselves. I always think, and I love on the tarot card the decision where you've got, it's not tarot, it's oracle, I apologize, where the decision card, and you've got somebody at a pathway and a signpost, one going left and one going right, and whenever I'm in life and whenever my guides give me that, because there's a big decision to make and I'm not sure which way to go, that's when I kind of say, okay, let's go to the woods and sit down. And I in my mind's eye give myself, so whenever I see that vision of the oracle card, okay, there's a decision here to be made. And it's not that I'm putting off the decision. It's about giving myself the place and the space, to give myself, to allow clarity to come in, so that I make the right decision for me in that time. I'm not being driven by fear. I'm not being driven by lack. I'm not being driven by emotions. I am actually making a clear and decisive decision about what is going to bring me the most joy, the most happiness, and going to give me the result that I'm looking for. And I can't do that while I'm in a space of confusion, when there's no clarity. And so when I have that when I get given that vision of like, whoa, okay, crossroads here, decision has to be made, that is when I'm looking to take myself off, to allow myself the space and the place to surrender and to get the clarity, allow the unfoldment, sit myself in nature, sit myself in the woods, and allow myself the peace, the silence, the stillness, to bring that clarity to me. We live in a world that glorifies constant activity, where busyness is worn like a badge of honor. And unfortunately, the art of surrender has been lost. It's often eludes many people. And many people often feel guilty for wanting to give themselves that time. And so they deny themselves that time, even though their intuition is saying, okay, let's take a step back here, let's take a breath, let's just surrender and allow the natural unfoldment of this. Many people have that urge within them, and yet they deny that to themselves because of how our society is constructed, because they believe it to be lazy, for it to be unproductive, to be unproactive. And as a coach, you know, I've been in that. I have been in those cycles. It's like, okay, what are we going to do that's proactive here? How are we going to plan? What are the goals that we're setting? And sometimes we need to include in those goals time to surrender, time for relaxation, time to breathe. Do we value productivity, achievement, and perpetual motion? There's a lot of emphasis on those, and they are all important, but we need to, for a balanced life, also put there deep relaxation, stillness, inactivity. There's a lot of forward motion in inactivity, and I think this is what is being missed, and this is what is causing a lot of the mental health and a lot of the stress that we're actually seeing in our society, is that we are not putting equal emphasis on inactivity. Do we want to become a sloth that sat on the couch all day long doing nothing, waiting for the world to come to us? No. But do we need to, in times of decision, to give ourselves some space to breathe and to really attune to what is going to be right for us, and allow the natural order of the cosmos to speak to us as to what is that best course of action to bring that to us? Absolutely. That's where the balance comes in. That's where we are being self-loving and self-nurturing, rather than go, 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 even when we're really not feeling it, even when our intuition's not telling us to do that. Our intuition is saying, whoa, stop, take a breath. But no, we push through, we push through, we push through. Everybody else does it. I can do it too. Push through, push through. Everybody else is doing it, and look at the state that we're in. We need to put value on inaction. We need to put value on surrendering, taking time out, deep relaxation. Surrender is not a novel concept. It echoes the wisdom of ancient cultures, particularly indigenous societies. These cultures recognized the significance of stillness in connecting with the soul essence, in connecting with divine. Whether one subscribes to a religious belief or an ancestral knowledge, surrendering to the present moment, embracing stillness, allows us to tap into a source of guidance beyond our immediate comprehension. It's an acknowledgement that there is a force at play, a higher intelligence that understands the intrinsicies of the future. This came up for me, and it was a really good, a really deep lesson that I had in 2018, 2018, and I was given the idea to organise an international retreat out to Egypt, and everything was going beautifully. I found everything, I sourced everything, I sourced all the people that I needed, I sourced the accommodation, I put some posts out, people started booking, it was fantastic. And then boom, the troubles in that area started, as they habitually do, and I wasn't able to get insurance, and so I had to redo it, or so I thought I had to redo it. And I spent a week being completely demented, reorganizing this retreat experience for another place. Had I given myself the time of surrender and actually gone inwards and sat in that stillness and asked the divine, asked my higher self, asked my guides, okay, why has this happened? Because this retreat was booked for 2020. Now, I don't need to tell you what happened in 2020, but I didn't give myself that space. I didn't give myself that place. And so for a week, I worked 24/7, reorganizing everything, only to not then get any traction. The people that had booked for the Egypt didn't want to transfer to Peru. And there were no new influx of takers for that experience. And it was only after I'd done all the work, only after I'd done all the promotion, only after I had been pulling my hair out for over 3 months thinking, what's going on? What's going on? Why is it not working? Did I sit with myself and ask divine? And was told it's not time. I didn't know why it wasn't time. I was just told it wasn't time. In hindsight, we all know why there wasn't time. And I tell that story because It's a classic example of how we give ourselves extra work, extra stress, extra worry unnecessarily. When I first organized the experience in Egypt, everything was going swimmingly, and then divine put a stop to it. That higher force could foresee what was going to happen, and so they put a roadblock in the way. And as those roadblocks come up, that's when I should have gone, okay, and gone inwards. This is what we need to learn to do to bring greater balance, to bring greater joy, to bring greater happiness into our lives. The time to breathe, to connect, and to listen to the whispers of our intuition. The stillness brings balance, it brings inspiration, and it brings solutions or understanding to the surface. It's a very powerful tool that allows us to navigate the challenges of life with grace and patience. So what I'd like to do, finishing this up, is ask 3 questions. Sit with these 3 questions. Be honest with yourself as you answer these 3 questions. Journal it, and then come back to them and see where you are in a month's time, in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time. So the first question is, what does surrender mean to you? And how do you currently incorporate it into your life? The second question is, can you recall a specific moment in your life when surrender led to a positive outcome or transformation? As I said, had I done it with that retreat experience, I would have had a positive outcome. As it is, I learned from that, and I have had many positive outcomes from allowing myself to surrender since. It was a lesson I needed to learn. And the last question is, in what area of your life do you find it most challenging to surrender? And what might be the potential benefits of releasing control in those areas? I hope you've liked this episode. If you have, please hit the star buttons if you're listening from iTunes. Leave a review. Everything helps to get this out so that more people can tune in. You have been listening to Spiritual Midwife, and I shall see you on the next episode. Bye bye.